We are joined, he's not in the studio this week, he has forsaken us, but he is down the line, as we say in the business. He's on Zoom, so a big welcome to the show to the Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kiszely. Hi, Philip.
Hi Kev, it's great to see you. I'm sorry I'm not there today.
Yeah, we're missing you, mate, but good to have you on board anyway. Well, look, first of all, let's talk about this extraordinary story with the BBC. The thought for the day is part of the BBC's show, flagship news programme Today every morning. Thought for the day is this sort of remnant from the past, this ludicrous moment where they go over to some sort of religious figure or someone who just sort of comes up with some old nonsense, some anachronistic nonsense. Rod Liddell, when he was editor of the Today programme many years ago, his first act was to try and axe thought for the day, and they said, we can't axe thought for the day, you know, that's an institution. So it's still going strong, still like something out of ancient history. Anyway, this last week, wait a second, no, it'd be earlier this week, in response to a front page story in the Mail on Sunday, it was a national newspaper, the Thought for the Day host accused Robert Jenrick of fueling fear of strangers. And he said, and the technical term for that is xenophobia, which is another word really for racism, irrational fear, irrational dislike of foreigners. So he essentially said that Robert Jenrick was xenophobic and that his comments on the front page of the Mail on Sunday, were incendiary, racist, and would make millions of people all over the country have an irrational fear of foreigners. So what was it? What was the Shadow Justice Secretary's terrible crime? What did he say that was so offensive to the BBC or to this guy on the BBC? It was this. He said that he got, because of the rising tally of asylum seeker crime, particularly sex crimes, alleged sex crimes, I should say, he was worried, feared for the safety of his three daughters. He's got three young daughters. He said that I fear for their safety. The BBC seems to think, or this guy on the BBC seems to think that was xenophobic and racist. The guy's name is Dr. Krish Kandiah. They didn't mention when he hosted this little slot on the Today programme that he runs he's the founder of a refugee charity. Yes, he said, well, this Jenrick is fueling the fear of the stranger. He said the technical name for that is xenophobia. Jenrick was onto the BBC like a shot and said, wait a minute, I said I'm a bit worried about my three daughters, and I'm sure a lot of other parents around the country are as well, and you've just called me a racist. So the BBC, they realised, they immediately pulled this down. They've apologised. It is no longer available on their BBC Sounds app or anything like that. So they admit this is a terrible mistake. But I tell you what worries me about this, Philip. I think it is a window into the rancid soul of the BBC. This is the way they think. They are elite liberals who, when push comes to shove, they think the migrant crisis is a good thing. It's great that we're providing refuge to all these foreigners coming here, escaping war and torture. And anybody who expresses concern or worry about this is a racist, is a xenophobe. This is one of the problems of the migrant crisis. So many people in this country who mostly live in comfortable areas where, they don't have asylum seeker hotels, who have enough money to spend all their time in expensive restaurants, hanging out with their mates, their lawyer mates and their judge mates and all that in the very well-to-do northwest London region. They not only do they not believe we have a crisis, they think those of us who worry about the crisis are low-down racists. It's just a disgrace, I think.
Yeah, I think I've got one message for the BBC, and that's there's one thing fueling fear here, and this is all of the charges of rape and the alleged offences that are happening on a daily basis. That is what's fueling fear. It isn't people complaining about it. Okay, people are genuinely frightened, and this is, you know, you were talking about thought for the day there. I mean, years and years ago, I used to listen to the Today programme, and it would be 6:30 in the morning, and it would be the alarm clock that came on, and I'd be in and out of sleep, drifting in and out of sleep listening to it, and I used to wonder why I was in a bad mood in the morning, and then I realised it's because I was being told off in my sleep for being a white, fairly conservative, heterosexual, middle-aged, Brexit voting man. You know what I mean? I was getting all of this stuff, so I stopped listening to it. But essentially what this person is saying, he's saying, shut up, pipe down, don't even kind of think that fighting age men from terrible places like Afghanistan are anything but feminist communitarians. That's all what you have to think they are. And if you think anything different to that, i.e. if you take notice of the facts, the data, and all of the things that we are beginning to know about now, all of the stuff that Jenrick was talking about, if you think about any of those kind of things, then you are a bigot, you are a racist. And yes, you're absolutely right, Kev. This is the dinner circuit mentality, isn't it, in North London? Yeah. This is precisely what you get. And this is how much they loathe us. This is how much they hate us. They think that it's not even multiculturalism they're defending here. Yeah. They're defending mass immigration and the very definite crime wave that comes with mass immigration. They're defending all of that kind of stuff. And what's the price we have to pay? It's the safety of women and children. And they are perfectly fine with that. If we complain about that, then we're in trouble. But I mean, there's something here. I think a while ago the BBC would have brazened this, so I think something has changed a little bit, and I think there's going to be a stage very soon when they're going to stop pulling these kind of stunts and putting these idiots on and talking down to us and all of that kind of thing, but it will be way too late.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Bob Vylan debacle. So Bob Vylan down at Glastonbury, you know, death to the IDF. There's hundreds of BBC executives down at Glastonbury and back in London, you know, programming it, putting it on screen. You know, the BBC broadcasts something like 14 million hours of Glastonbury every year, and the entire staff tend to go down there. Anyway, they're all there. Nobody pulls the plug on this. And they say, oh, terrible mistake, we should have done, yes, we hold our hands up. The point is why did no one pull the plug on that? It's because they kind of agree with Bob Vylan. You know, he's got the same outlook when it comes to Palestine as them. You know, death to the IDF is kind of fine by them. So, thought for the day, horror that it is. It's so ludicrously anachronistic, as I say, you know, some sort of religious guy going, oh, it struck me, I heard about the poor people coming across the channel, I heard people shouting, and this is just wrong, and all this crap. Anyway, it's not actually made in-house by the Today programme. It's made separately by the BBC religious unit and then sort of shipped in. So the point is they get to... The executives of the Today programme get to hear this before it goes on, of course. You know, editors don't let anything go on without checking. So they listen to this and they put it on. You see what I mean? They didn't see anything wrong with it. Only after the fact, when Jenrick said, oh, wait a minute, I just said I'm a bit worried about my daughters because there's a lot of sex crime going on among these asylum seekers and migrants all over the country. You know, and we know. He was speaking for millions of parents around the country, millions of people around the country. So he said, hang on a second, you're calling me a racist. And then they go, oh, Christ, yeah, oh, well, that was a bit... basically, the quote they said is, they did admit that thought for the day on this occasion, and listen to this, is funny, went beyond its scope. But my point is, they didn't notice until Jenrick explained. And the moment he complained, they went, "Oh my God!" So it's another Bob Vylan moment, isn't it?
It is, and it's not only that they think it's all right. It's that they think everybody else thinks it's all right
Yes.
as well. That's the thing.
That they're representative of the country. They're not, are they?
And it's almost as though they're running the station with their fingers in their ears, their eyes closed, and going, because we have Reform. What are they on? 28% at the moment. Matt Goodwin shared some polling yesterday or the day before. 28%. Labour are on 21%, and we know why Reform are riding so high, because they directly address all of the issues that. It's not that the BBC fails to address them. It's that the BBC doesn't know they exist. That's the really worrying thing.
Yeah.
It's that they don't even understand that these issues are out there, and they don't understand when people are turning off in their droves, people are refusing to pay that ridiculous television license. They do not respond to it in any meaningful way. What they'll probably do, their response to it, Kev, bizarrely, will probably be to commission another trans comedy. That will be their response to it.
What is that trans comedy called? It's absolutely terrible, isn't it?
The one that's set in the north. I can't remember now.
God, it's awful.
So
it's about drag queens or something, isn't it? It's it's a typical BBC comedy. It's got everything going for it. It's just not funny. It never is. But you're exactly right. They think that they speak for the nation, but they don't. Robert Jenrick speaks for the nation in this instance. The BBC, I'm afraid, like a couple of other broadcasters I could name, is a media outlet that hates its audience. It's as simple as that. Let's go to break now, Philip, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of very disturbing cases of what looks suspiciously like leniency on potential migrant offenders living in asylum seeker hotels, leniency by the police. A lot of people worry that the police go especially easy on asylum seekers and migrants charged with crimes. We've got two disturbing incidences of this. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm still with Philip Kiszely, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Philip, we are well aware of the fact that there are alarming signs that more and more crimes are being committed by asylum seekers staying at asylum seeker hotels. Most of these crimes at the moment are charges because, our justice system, the wheels of British justice turn at a glacial pace. But more and more migrants living at asylum seeker hotels are getting arrested for serious crime, hundreds and hundreds of them. A disturbing number of those are sex crimes, sexual offences, rape or sexual assault against women and children. So this is all very, very worrying. The question on the table is, how vigilant are the police towards migrants and asylum seekers? Are they cutting them some slack? Are they being lenient towards, our poor foreign visitors who've come here escaping war and torture in France? Not a lot of war and torture in France last time I checked, but there you have it. Anyway, here's what we've got. Two stories here. Here's the first story. Really worrying, I think. A migrant living at London's notorious Thistle City Barbican Hotel. That's near the City of London. This is a hotel full of migrants. Used to be quite a nice 3-star hotel. And it is noted scores of the people living in this hotel have been charged with various crimes. A 20-year-old woman, was walking past this hotel and was catcalled by one of the residents, a 26-year-old asylum seeker. This was in March. It's important to remember, March. So what is that? March, April, May, June. 6 months ago, 5 months ago. So this is in March. So she walks past it one day, and it's on her way to work, so she has to do this. She's a bit freaked out about that, but no big deal. Next day, she walks past, this same guy follows her into Tesco's, tries to strangle her and assaults her. She, of course, calls the police. Police arrest him and all that. Here we are now, March. It's now the end of, or getting towards the end of August, or the middle of August. He has not been charged yet, and has been free to roam the streets. So this poor lady, the day after this guy strangled, or allegedly, I should say, allegedly tried to strangle her in Tesco, she sees him hanging around loitering outside the hotel. So, you know, she wants this guy to be, you know, put into custody. He's obviously potentially a danger. As I say, these are allegations. And still, this guy has not been charged. We approached the Metropolitan Police. This is what they had to say. It's not always possible to charge someone immediately after arrest, as there is often further evidence to gather. If you're watching, by the way, we put the statement up here. There is no mechanism to hold a person in custody for an extended period prior to charge. We are reviewing the handling of the case to identify the cause of the delay and to ensure it can be progressed to a conclusion as soon as possible. They're identifying the cause of the delay. They should be all across the delay. This happened in March. The young lady in question, the alleged victim, says that she believes very strongly that this man should be held in custody while he awaits trial. You know, he catcalled her one day, tried to strangle her, or allegedly, I've got to say this, allegedly catcalled her one day, allegedly tried to strangle her in Tesco the next day. There must be loads of CCTV of that. Why to this day this guy hasn't been charged? He's roaming the streets. Sounds to me like possibly this is the woke police going easy on our asylum seeker friends, because let's face it, they've had a hard life.
Yeah, I mean, you know, let's just be clear about this. I think allegedly the police are going to do absolutely nothing about this. You know, that's all. We'll look into it. Yeah, okay, goodbye. We'll never do anything about it again. Allegedly, I think we cover these stories, and all you have to do is just open a paper or look onto your phone, and you see these stories every single day. I think it's fair to say that this country is suffering an epidemic of sex crimes and rape in particular, and I think it's fair to say that we can map these onto illegal immigrants. So if they say they don't have a mechanism to hold these people, then perhaps they should create one, okay? Because I think this epidemic is somewhere in the region of a national emergency now. And I don't think it's just me that thinks that. I think it's all of those people who are going on these marches, these mothers and daughters who are marching and protesting outside these hotels day by day by day. I mean, just since this government has been in power, if that's the right word, okay,
in office but not in power. Yeah,
there have been 55,000 illegal immigrants come into the country. Okay, that's staggering. That's utterly staggering. I think in 1991 there was only 40,000 of the whole of immigration that came into the country. 40,000 entrants into the whole of the country in 1991. Now 55,000 just while this government's been in power. So we are in utter crisis. And how do we characterize these people that are coming into our country? We know most of them are from fairly barbaric cultures like Afghanistan, Sudan, all of those places, Eritrea. We know that they are totally chaotic. We know that they they destroy their documents while they're en route. Okay, it has all the characteristics of an invasion. They are like an invading army, and yet if you actually speak in those terms and you're not careful about it, then you will get into trouble. But if you just lay everything out that's happening and you map it onto the like I say, the national emergency of sex crimes that is happening at the moment, then we should create a mechanism to do something about it. Now the problem is the police just don't know what they're doing. Okay, they are at the behest of the woke establishment. the judiciary, and their hands are tied. And, you know, frankly, they're a bit stupid with this, okay? Plod are a bit stupid with this. They need to be stepping out. They need to be demonstrating to the public that they are looking after them. And what they are doing, they are demonstrating the opposite. They are the puppets of the establishment, and we are just sick of it.
Yeah, they're woke, and they reflect the attitude that we were talking about in terms of the BBC. You know, that they think, oh, these asylum seekers and migrants, oh, we've got a bit of sympathy, be nice, be kind. Well, listen, here's another story for you. This one will make your excellent head of hair fall out, Philip. Now, this is yesterday, Wednesday the 13th of August. Now, there's a new asylum seeker hotel in town. It's the Britannia International Hotel down in Canary Wharf. Until about 2.5 weeks ago, 425 quid a night, swimming pool, sauna, bars, restaurants. It was a businessman's 4-star hotel. Now, businessman and businesswomen, sorry. Now it's full of migrants. Okay, an asylum seeker apparently from that hotel. Yesterday, the story is, and we've got a statement from the police about this, the story is he walked into a 80-year-old blind woman's house. Just basically broke into the house except the door was open. He was caught in there, we think, by the lady's niece and chased out. And the local community were very, very upset about this. The police won't do anything about it. They say he hasn't committed a crime because the door was open, and also the old lady doesn't want to press charges. I would suggest to the police, you're the police, you press charges. Anyway, have a look at this video. Hang on, it's beach balling. Seems to have stuck. We'll try and get that back. That's coppers talking to angry people from the local community. I think we can play it now.
That's not something you want to hear, but there's only so much we can do, and obviously she's the main person and she does want to press charges.
She does want to press charges. She just said what's the alleged offence? Sorry, everybody. Sorry, could you make some space, please? By entering someone's house, come through. That's a lot more than trespassing.
So there you go, Philip. That's the angry members of the local community confronting the police and saying, why don't you arrest this guy? Why don't you maybe charge him? He's an 80-year-old blind woman. This is what the police have told us. We are aware of videos circulating online relating to an incident that officers were called to at 18:07 hours, so 7 minutes past 6 on Wednesday, August the 13th at Marsh Wall in E14, which is Canary Wharf. We understand a man entered a property through an open door, having been followed by a group of men in the street. What does that mean? The man has not been arrested at this time, as our initial investigation has not identified any offences. We understand this is distressing for the occupants. So just walking in to an 80-year-old blind lady's house because she happens to have the door on the latch, that's not an offence. The police don't see that. They say, oh, no offences have been committed. Doesn't matter, she doesn't want to press charges. I would suggest the police press charges. And what is this story about? They're trying to act as if, oh, well, he was being chased. I don't think there's any evidence of this. Again, it's the police, you know, basically backing the wrong horse. Backing the bad guy and not supporting the poor old lady, his niece, and the angry local community.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that footage there, I mean, they just looked so hapless and out of their depth as well, didn't they, when they were dealing with that stuff. They've got, as I said before, they've got no idea what they're doing, and they are drowned, they are soaked in this woke ideology. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about I think it was the chief constable of Birmingham was wearing a turban. And he's
not a Sikh, is he?
Was white. He's not a Sikh, you know. So it's all of this stuff. They are pandering to these ideologies. ideologies, and they are pandering to this very aggressive, far left kind of, again, pro-Palestine, or semi-Islamist lobby as well, that will kick off massively if they do anything. And they are actually terrified of these people. Okay, so it's their own stupid. It's a toxic combination. Okay, it's their own stupidity. It's their own kind of ridiculous kind of dedication to this stupid ideology, and it's fear of the people. It's just the lowest common denominator, fear of the people who will.
I just fear, Philip, that our police around the country have sort of become paramilitary social workers. Always, like the poor shopkeeper in Wrexham. The police siding with the shoplifters, saying, oh, you can't call them scumbags, that's offensive. Well, A, you can call them scumbags because they are scumbags, and B, it is not against the law to be offensive. So we don't really need your advice on whether or not we're offending people, because it's nothing to do with you, rozzers. And then, of course, there's that terrible case in East London on the tube train at the weekend, 3:30 in the afternoon. Some awful bloke drops his trousers, starts flashing and pants starts flashing to ladies and kids on the carriage. 4 guys go, hey, stop that. He starts shouting and screaming at them, so they took, they physically restrained him. At the next stop, they got him off the train, they pinned him on the platform, and an off-duty copper took him away. He's obviously got mental problems. The British Transport Police are now searching for those 4 men because they believe they're guilty of assault. They're the good guys. They're the good guys. The police have lost track of who they're supposed to be supporting because, as I say, because they become kind of paramilitary social workers. They always side with the bad guys, with the shoplifters, with the flasher.
I mean, those guys intervened, made an intervention, and took the guy out. They were heroic.
They were heroes,
They were being men. That's what men should do, because they were protecting other people. But the fallout of all of this stuff is that, Kev, is that people just don't report these things. So people don't report shoplifting anymore. Okay, I've seen it. I've been when I'm in London. I'm in London every week. I see it all the time. I saw people taking, with a great big bag, filling it with gear in Waitrose in King's Cross Station. Nobody was doing anything about it, and everybody knows that nothing will happen. I've seen that kind of behaviour all the time. We all have in London and in places like this where I live as well. The police don't do anything about it.
And what's the message? What's the message to those heroic guys who did something about that awful flasher? I've got to stress, 3:30 in the afternoon at the weekend over in East London. That carriage was full of kids and women. And the message that the British Transport Police are putting out to members of the public: if you step in and do the decent thing, we'll arrest you. Great, isn't it? Great. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous and symbolic of the fact that this country is falling apart at the seams. We are a society that is losing track of common decency, and that is not good. We'll go to break now, Philip, and we're going to deal with another instance that I think is a bad sign for us, and that is, did you remember these 2 guys last week? It was the video of them water pistoling Jewish people and thinking it's funny, and then caught on camera. So they were arrested. They were facing potential charges of racially aggravated assault, and guess what? They've been let off with a slap on the wrist. Basically just told to apologise. I'm not sure that's a good message to send. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm still with, from the New Culture Forum, senior fellow Philip Kiszely. Philip, just before the break, well, let's just remind ourselves of this video that emerged. It's from the Manchester area. 2 morons, antisemitic morons, laughing and giggling while they water pistoled decent, poor members of the Jewish community. They're Jewish people. They think that's hilarious. Look at them laughing away, giggling away. Now, there was an outcry about this, and of course, people called for them. The police said, well, we've arrested them, and they will potentially going to be charged with and face a court case for racially aggravated assault. And I think Okay, you could argue, well, there are worse things to do than water pistol people, but it's not the point. It's the principle of the issue. Because of our really problematical rising tide of anti-Semitism, it's really exploding in this country. I think we should have probably sent a message through these two guys, but instead, Greater Manchester Police have imposed on them a community resolution order, which means they just got to sort of basically say sorry. Manchester Police saying, oh, they're very apologetic. They're very apologetic, you know, and they wish they didn't do it, and so on and so forth. Well, they also say that the local Jewish community have said they're happy with this resolution, if you like. Well, that I would suggest is because they're nice people. However, you know, what this indicates is that in this country we are prepared to tolerate casual Jew hatred. That's what this is. And I don't like sort of saying, you know, bang them up, send them away, hang them, you know. I'm not one of those types. However, I do think we should have sent a message with these two. You can't do this. It isn't funny to water pistol people just because they're Jewish. We should have sent a message. Instead, the Greater Manchester Police said, well, if you say sorry, that'll be okay. That's it. It's all over. Wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many levels to this story which are incredibly disturbing. First of all, those people who were being you know, shot at with this water pistol, they didn't know it was water. It could have been acid, as far as they know, you know. So that's very, very distressing to them. You really do not know what's going on there. Secondly, these jokers posted this on Instagram, didn't they? And really, really worryingly, this footage, I look at it there and it actually sickens me to the stomach. But this footage got over 1 million likes and lots of
likes. Jeez.
Rat emojis, pig emojis, and nose emojis.
Okay? Really?
Yeah, so it isn't just these idiots. It isn't just a few people being anti-Semitic. We have this very deep anti-Semitism problem in this country, and often it's presented as anti-Zionism, but of course that isn't the case. It really is lumpen anti-Semitism. Now, if you would just change the players here, okay, and if this was a couple of white guys shooting a water pistol at people walking to a mosque, you know, very visually Islamic Muslim people walking to a mosque. Imagine the absolute outrage. Imagine the outrage from the government. There'd be interventions, there'd be God knows what. These people would be in prison by now.
Yeah.
You know? So there is again, there's this two-tier thing. It's different for Jews. That's the problem. That's what I'm getting from this. Yes, and I know from experience, because I'm from Manchester, there's a big Jewish community in North Manchester, and there is a big problem with anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
The problem with anti-Semitism in Leeds.
And this is another example. It plays into the story we've just been covering. You know, the police saying, oh, well, they didn't want to press charges. Well, you're the police. You press the bloody charges. You're able to do that. This nonsense where they go, oh, well, they didn't want to press charges, so we couldn't continue. That happens on the TV. In real life, the police can press the charges. And in this case, I really do think they should have done. They should have sent a message that you cannot go round making light of anti-Semitism. He, oh, look, they're Jews. Let's have a go at them. Isn't this funny? And as you say, I didn't realise the scale of support that these two morons got. Very, very worrying. And in view of that support, the Manchester Police should have made a stand and say, you do that, you're in court.
Yeah, I think there are a few flashpoints in this country at the moment, and anti-Semitism is one of them. And it's so easy for the police because the establishment, the institutions, and all of those people are so pro-Palestine and anti-Israel. In other words, anti-Semitic. Okay, I think it's as simple as that. That the police can get away with this kind of lazy, lumpen, ideological behaviour. Okay, that's one of the flashpoints. The other flashpoint, obviously, is the thing we've been talking about, which are all the rapes, alleged rapes, sex crimes, and all the rest of it that are happening on the streets of this country. Again, they will do nothing about it. And you can't help but think, as we've said before, that there is an ideology. There is a sense of, oh, well, we're not going to deal with this kind of thing because they are the wrong kind of people. Again, when it's white, patriotic, reform voting type people out on the streets and chanting and angry, they will deal with them straight away. Let's remember that Lucy Connolly is still in prison.
Exactly. This is tolerating Jew hatred. This is tolerating anti-Semitism, and we should not do that. You know, I always say this. I've been to a few of these pro-Palestine marches. I've seen the police around them. I'm not accusing all coppers of this, but the ones I've seen at these marches, they're anti-Israel and pro-Palestine because, once again, they're woke bloody coppers. It's a real problem. It's a real problem. Let's go to break again, Philip. When we come back, we need to talk. It's not often you can say this, but we need to talk about Alaska, which we're going to do after this break. Welcome back. Still with Philip Kiszely, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. As I said before the break, Philip, probably for the first time ever, everybody's talking about Anchorage in Alaska. Its population, it's obviously America's most remote city. Its population is 290,000 people, 300 moose, 250 black bears and 60 brown bears. And also there are two more residents of that, temporary residents of that city, as in Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. They arrive tomorrow for their summit, their peace summit. Zelensky, the Ukraine president, of course, won't be in these initial talks. Let's talk about the real reason for this, though. Look, I think, you know, I don't think there's any doubt that President Trump is a peace. He is a peace-loving president. He doesn't like war. He would love to sort a deal out here. What he initially wants is a ceasefire. Tomorrow's task for him will be to get Putin to agree to a temporary ceasefire, during which they can hammer out the terms, hopefully, of a long-term peace deal. The problem is, you know, Putin's very unlikely to do that. Whether or not Putin will even let Zelensky into the room in subsequent talks is open to debate, pretty unlikely. Zelensky will never agree to cede any territory. Putin will demand territory. And I think there's a basic problem here. As many people say, Putin doesn't really particularly want peace. So what is the real purpose for Trump here? This is my theory. Bearing in mind, earlier this week, J.D. Vance said this: America is ready to walk away from Ukraine. So, yes, there's no doubt about Trump's sincerity. He wants peace. He'd love to achieve peace. But he knows in the real world there's only a slim chance. What he wants to do here is to show the world and then say to the world, look, I tried my heart out. I tried my best. I did everything I could. I even brought me and him together, America and Russia together. But it didn't work out. I've given it my best shot. We now walk away. It's Europe's war. That's what I think his purpose is. And then it will be left to the so-called coalition of the willing, you know, Keir Starmer's rag-bag army of EU leaders, all talking tough now, if necessary. You know, we'll go in, we'll help Ukraine fight. No, they won't. No, they won't. When push comes to shove, they will turn very, very swiftly into the coalition of the unwilling. But I do believe that the hidden purpose of this summit for Trump is the opportunity to say, I did everything I could, now America walks away.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think there's a kind of ceremonial aspect to this, isn't there? Which is, you know, it's the ending of things. It's kind of it's putting it out there. It's a little bit of theatre, and Trump will gain some, you know, a lot of media and a lot of attention from this, which I think is actually he's just, you know, what can I take from this? I can take that from it. I'm on the world stage. I'm doing all of that kind of stuff. And I have to kind of say I agree with you that, you know, Trump's heart is in the right place. And I think his policies are good, but he has this kind of strategy of diplomacy that is peculiar to him. Really, he kind of either promises the earth or promises Armageddon to his enemies and then doesn't kind of follow up on it. And I think if you think about what's happened in Iran, for example, I just kind of take everything pretty much he says now with a pinch of salt. And that's a real shame for me, because when he was elected for a second time, I had so much hope, not only because of what was going to happen in America and the rest of the world, but I thought that all of that stuff was going to reverberate here. Now you can argue that it kind of has in a way, and we've got Reform and we've got Nigel Farage, and that is an echo of what's going on there. But I just can't help but feel, and I don't know whether you feel the same, but I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed in the way that in what Trump has actually achieved rather than what he said.
To an extent, as I say, I think what he wants to achieve here is the ability to walk away, say, right, Ukraine's a European war, it's your problem, we're not involved anymore. That way he saves billions of dollars of American money, billions of dollars worth of American weapons, and I think will achieve a lot of support from the American people. And I'm just wondering, Philip, as old Starmer, styles himself as a colossus on the world stage. You see that pathetic video he put out yesterday of him in the cabinet office talking to all the European leaders in little boxes on his computer screen, confederacy of dunces. But I just wonder, him. And so, all politicians all through Westminster, doesn't matter whether they're Tories or Reform maybe less, but certainly Tories, Labour, Lib Dems, all the parties, they assume that everyone in Britain goes, yes, 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 we must carry on sending billions of pounds to Ukraine. Yes, yes, yes. We must carry on sending them half of our military weapons and planes. We must carry on, sacrificing our own wealth to help Ukraine. They assume we're right behind them. Now, I understand the geopolitical ramifications of letting Putin get away with just invading other countries, and the danger that if he does get away with it, he may invade more. I understand that. But I just wonder whether the British people, whether the majority of British people are actually in favour of us continuing this wholehearted massive financial and weaponry support of Ukraine. I don't think the people of Britain, I think they might have had enough of this. We're thinking, this billions of pounds you send to Ukraine, to Zelensky, why don't you spend it on us?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And I think most people don't think about this conflict anymore. They only think about it when Trump's involved, when something happens with Putin and Trump. And they absolutely do not want to be involved. Yes, it's perfectly right and proper to think about the geopolitical things you've just said. But I think people are more interested in the fact that we do actually have boots on the ground in this country, and there are Islamic boots on the ground. They are much more concerned with that. I think I agree with you in the sense that I think Trump is right to kind of walk away from this, because I don't think America should be spending billions and billions and billions on this, because it will just go nowhere. This is just going to continue for years and years and years. So I think he's right in that respect. I think, as I was saying before, I'm just slightly disappointed with him in other respects. But as far as we're concerned, I mean, you can't help but laugh at Starmer. It really does feel, if Trump is theatrical and it's performative and it's ceremonial and all of that kind of thing, at least he knows what he's doing. He really does know what he's doing. That man knows what he's doing. But with Starmer, it's inept. It's like theatre in the village hall on a Sunday by comparison. It's this presumption on the part of Britain's body politic, the Westminster gang, the Westminster bubble gang, that we all completely support the continued unequivocal financial and military support of Ukraine. And I'm not sure that is the case. I'm not necessarily saying whether I think it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I know that a lot of people in Britain do not support this anymore. They're saying stop spending billions on Ukraine and start spending it on Britain.